Are you ready?
Let's go.
Now circling in the neutral zone.
Here's the pitch on the way. 36 yards for the win.
This.
Here comes a big chance. The shot.
Is
this the dagger?
The neutral zone.
Home run. Good.
This is as good as it gets.
Now, here's your host, two-time Paralympian, Brock Richardson.
What's going on? It's time for another edition of The Neutral Zone. I am indeed your host, Brock Richardson. Coming up on this edition of the program, we will hear from Canadian Boccia player Iulian Ciobanu, who's here today to tell us about his 2025 international success and looking ahead to 2026. Plus, the Para Hockey Cup has wrapped up and concluded. I'll tell you more about that in a few minutes, but we will dissect the result later on in the show. I'm joined by Josh Watson. Here comes your headlines.
Neutral Zone headlines.
Congratulations go out to Toronto Blue Jays reporter Hazel May. She is the winner of the 2025 Jack Graney Award. The award is presented by the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame to a member of the media who has made significant contributions to the game of baseball in Canada. Congratulations, Hazel, and very well deserved. Toronto Blue Jays player Ernie Clement was recently honored in his hometown of Monroe County, New York, following the 2025 season. There was an autograph session, which I understand was very well attended. There was a lineup around the block, and they eventually had to stop accepting people because the line was just too long. Additionally, November 29th was officially proclaimed as Ernie Clement Day in Monroe County. Congratulations, Ernie. You are one of my favorites, and I hope we have you back again very, very soon.
Congratulations to the United States for winning their 10th straight Para Hockey Cup. This was a good tournament for them as always. It's hard to believe that they've won 10 years in a row. Canada finished with the silver medal after getting beaten 2-0 in the gold medal game, and then China took home the bronze as well. So great event, but we'll dissect it in just a little while. Those are your headlines for this week. If you want to get a hold of us on social, here's how you can do that.
And welcome back to the Neutral Zone broadcast booth.
Play ball.
We're set to get this bowl game underway. The first pitch is brought to you by Brock Richardson's X account at Neutral Zone BR.
Strike.
Pitch and a strike. Hey, gang, why not strike up a chat with Claire Buchanan from the Neutral Zone? Find her on X at Neutral Zone CB. There's a swing of the chopper out to second base, right at Claire as she picks up the ball, throws it over to the first base for a routine play.
Out.
And fans, there's nothing routine about connecting with Cam and Josh from the Neutral Zone at Neutral Zone Cam J and at J Watson 200. Now that's a winning combination.
I am so excited to be joined today by a former teammate of mine, Canadian Boccia athlete Iulian Ciobanu, who's here today to tell us about his 2025 international success. Iulian, thanks so much for joining us today. I look forward to this conversation.
Hi, Brock, and thank you very much for having me.
Yes. Before we start talking about specific results in this season, you had 4 events on the international calendar. What was your goal going into the season before you even played an event this year?
Yeah, so the goal was the big one, how we can call that. It's qualification for the World Championship for the next year. So all the results, actually we had the one competition more important. It was in Cali, the qualifier. But overall, you need a good performance to get prepared for the World Championship. And the goal, of course, was to perform great and enough to get this qualification. But we get it in Cali, getting on a podium. But we will speak about that earlier. Maybe, I will give you more details.
Yes. This season, you brought home a total of 5 medals, and 3 of those were in pairs. And 2 of them were in individual. Wow. Tell me about the success between you and your partner, Alison Levine, and why you guys do so well.
Look, it's a lot of training together, and of course, after many years of playing on international level, you get more experience and you get more confidence, if I can say. Even it's after many years you start to maybe believe more in yourself, and what seeing what you did last years, you get more confident about the future. So training together, you see, get the good results together with Alison. It's an insurance, I can say, when you go in a competition, that you believe that you can do the same thing or better, and you believe in that after so many years and so many competitions together.
Yes, it's really amazing how 2 people can really gel together really quickly, and you guys seem to have done that, as I see every time. Oh, you guys are on the podium again. This is good. So I'm glad to see the success continues. You guys, there were 2 events this year where you had a lot of success. One of them was Santiago 2025, the Boccia Challenger, and gold in individual. And then you also had some success as well in the pairs in these 2 events back to back. Can you tell me about the chunk where you and Alison sort of had gold? You had gold individual and gold in pairs, and you just had really good back-to-back events earlier this year. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, so we start very well this year. Our first competition was in Santiago, and we did really well there. We bring actually 4 or 3 medals. Alison also brought silver medal. So we did well because we were prepared, and I think also after Paris, we had enough time to prepare for this competition, and we were motivated to do it, and also we had enough energy for this competition to compete there and to bring this great result. And then
Yeah. Out of all the places you have been this year, what was your favorite destination, and why would you pick that as your favorite destination?
Look, it's actually I think it's Korea, in Seoul, because I was there for the first time like 10 years ago. So I start in Korea and Seoul, the same place, and actually the same even floor. 10 years ago. So it was back in the memories, back in the future, to say, to go and compete on this country and this event, and was a little bit more maybe emotional things about to get there and to play, to remember, to live the same emotions. But it was also interesting from that point of view that Seoul is changing. 10 years ago was different. We had some time to go a little bit outside to see, and I'm open all the time after competition, or maybe if I have in competition time to go out to visit. It's a pleasure for me to discover another country, another culture, people, and Seoul was one of my favorite place for this year, and I would like to return, and actually we will return next year because we get the qualification for the World Championship, and it will be in Seoul too in 2026.
Yes, and I can think back to my time. I went to Beijing in 2008 for the Paralympic Games, and then we returned back in 2013. And I mean, I like going back to destinations and kind of revisiting and seeing, where things are at from when you went before and when you went again. I can understand, and I'm glad to hear that you were able to kind of look around and tour, because when we used to go, it felt sort of like you were in and out and just kind of did your competition and that's it. So it's kind of cool that you're making space to tour, because a lot of people, at least in my time, you'd say, oh, your passport's so decorated and you get to be all these places. And I'd say, I see the hotel, I see the bus, I see the venue and the airport. And so really good to hear that as well.
Yeah. And you get some new friends, and then you can meet them when you go back. This is a really cool stuff, for us, for athletes, that we need to actually to enjoy that we have this opportunity.
Yes, and it's true, because you look at I still have friends from all over the world from when I competed, and friendships don't change. You still may not talk to them as often, but they're around, and it's good. So it's good for the air miles too, to be traveling lots of places too.
Of course.
As we look ahead to 2026, you mentioned that you qualified for World Championships. How do we prepare for that event to be at the top of your game?
Nothing maybe special to prepare you. It will be training. This is the basis. So it's important to train, and we will get back to our place, because now we are training in another place, because it's in construction, something like that. So this year we didn't train properly at our place. So the next year this is the last training today at the same place that we train all this year. But next week we will be back to our place, and we will be at home, how we can say, together with others and our athletes. We will be there to train regularly. This is important. And then we will I hope, I spoke with my coaches, but we will maybe manage better the energy for the entire season, because this year we had like 3 competitions in a row, and we feel that we were a little bit tired for the last competition. We finished 4th. In individual, also I finished 4th. So I feel that I was not full of energy this last competition. So I think we will get better for next year to planify our competitions, and then to get to the Seoul at full our potential. So you see, we will have actually we know the calendar for the next year, and we have already saw what competition are organized, and I'm really positive and optimistic that we will get a little bit more time to get rest and prepare for the World Championship.
Yeah. So can you run through, aside from the World Championship, can you run through some of the events that are already on your calendar in order to prepare for World Championships?
The first competition will be in Montreal. So the FIS Sportive, this event each year. Actually, this year it was not organized, unfortunately. We had this World Cup in Montreal every year, but this year it was not possible to have it. So we missed that this year. And next year they confirmed that we will have this World Championship. It's a World Cup in Montreal, and we will start with this competition. So this will be 100%. I know it. And then maybe will be Kazakhstan. Maybe it will be in June. And then we will have a World Championship in the August and September, and then maybe another World Cup in the November. So somewhere in the South America.
Yeah, very cool. I've got 2 more for you, just based on what you said there. Tell me a little bit about what it's like to compete at a world event in your home country of Canada, and how does that help you, moving forward into your season, competing at home versus abroad?
Yeah, the travel. Traveling for the people, with the wheelchair, with the power chair, it's a challenge. And then when you get to the hotel, it's a challenge too to get rest and find your routine in another conditions, physical conditions too. And when you change also the time zone, also it's impacting your energy. So training at home, competing at home, it's actually you don't have all these challenges. So it's more easy. You are rest. You actually we don't stay at home. We stay in the hotel, but we know already this hotel. We know all the details, how to prepare to be well. I don't know how to say in English exactly, but to be at the hotel, because when you have a competition, what is important too is sometimes in competition you must each day take transportation, and if you don't have if it's not organized to get back to the hotel, you can have long journey at the venue, and then it's also from the energy point of view, you're not getting rest there well, so if you have matches at the end of the day, you can rest and be fully prepared for the next game. But here in Montreal, we can walk to the hotel and to get rest, to be prepared for the next for your game. So it will be more easier. It's at home, and look, our last two competitions here in Montreal went were really good. We just bring many medals, and I bring in 2023 2 gold medals in individual and in pairs. So we feel it. I feel it. I feel well when I'm competing at home. I feel comfortable, and I feel also supported, maybe better, because you have more people that are coming and they're cheering for you. This is something special, and this is important too for the performance.
Yeah, there's nothing more difficult than, competing abroad across the world, and you have a game at like 9 a.m., local time, and then not again till like 3:30. It's very difficult to get back to the hotel in those instances, because transportation is provided when it's provided, and usually it's the beginning and the end of the day. So you're very much sort of stuck at the hotel, and it's harder to get rested. And I think competing at home is easier, just because you can do more things that you couldn't necessarily do on the road. Last one for you. If you look back on 2025, as I stated, many medals for you, 5 as I counted from the list that you gave me. Would you say that this was a successful year for yourself?
Yeah, of course, it was a successful year. It's actually, we were close to get to our best results in 2023. We bring also 6, I think. So we just were really close for the last competition this year. We finished 4th in individual and pairs, so we were close to beat this record. Record. But next year we can do it. I'm really confident. So yeah, this was a great year, and even because we get this qualification, that all the teams, all the countries are working hard to get there, to get to the World Championship and compete with the best in the world.
Iulian, thank you so much for taking the time to do this interview. We greatly appreciate it, and congratulations on your success. I always love seeing former teammates of mine, yourself and Allison, still be successful today. So thanks so much for doing this. I really appreciate it. I always love when I have the opportunity to speak to teammates of mine, because I feel like I have vested interest in what they do and how successful they are. And as you just heard, Iulian had a very successful event, 5 medals this season on the international stage. As he said towards the end of the interview, he's very happy with it. I know the organization is very happy with it, and we wish him nothing but the success in 2026 as he trucks along towards 2028. As I mentioned in the headlines, we're going to dissect the Para Hockey Cup. Canada lost a 2-0 gold medal game to the United States. They also lost a game by 1 goal in the round robin. I believe the score was 3-2, if memory serves me correctly, in the round robin. So they did have a decent showing against the United States. You could say that they have been beaten more handily lately than those two results. One of the goals in the gold medal game was a empty net goal. So sometimes in those results, I look at that, Josh, and I go, yeah, I know it goes on the scoreboard, but take it with what it is. There's no goaltender there. What's your overall thoughts of how this event went for Canada? And also, if you could comment on the United States winning 10 years in a row at the Para Hockey Cup, that would be appreciated as well.
Have to. No, the U.S. deserves the gold again. Unfortunately, they have such a strong program, and they've had such wonderful goaltending over the years. Whether it be Steve Cash or now Jen Lee, I believe is the name of the current goaltender, but he was the backup to Steve Cash prior to becoming the starter. So when you have all of those years of stellar goaltending, you're going to be successful. And I think Canada had a very strong tournament. I think they did well. You and I, Brock, I know both watched the gold medal game. I think we were both impressed by what we saw. But in the end, 1 or 2 opportunities turned the tide of the game. And as you said, one of those was an empty net goal at the very end. So I'm pleased with what I saw from Canada. I feel like they made a good effort. But at the same time, we really need to look at what the U.S. is doing and dissect it and find a way to beat them. Otherwise, we are going to be the runner-up every time. Because unfortunately, the U.S. just does not show a sign of getting weaker.
No. In fact, they just show a sign of getting stronger. They have like 3 players that are, 17, 18, 19. And, those guys are legit players. And, Brody Roybal is still going to do Brody Roybal things. And that's going to be a thing. But when you have those 17, 18, 19-year-olds competing and contributing at an event like that. One of the young ones scored the goal in the first goal in that gold medal game. And look, the U.S. did this almost, in my mind, as perfect as you could have, because they were talking on the broadcast, if you're going to bring these young kids up and you're going to say, here, go play at the Para Hockey Cup, which is always held in Canada in some city or another, that's a good way to get your feet sort of wet, Josh, versus, hey, the Paralympics are coming up in March. We're gonna send you to these as your first games. Kind of, the Para Hockey Cup is a good competitive place to be, but it's not the Paralympic Games. So to me, I give the States umpteen credit for bringing these 3 athletes on board, 17, 18, 19, and saying, go get your feet wet and do it.
Absolutely. That is the ideal way to bring up your young players. Surround them with good players. Surround them with guys who have been there before. And you're going to find that they're going to find their role. They're going to start off with smaller minutes in maybe garbage time, but you're going to find very quickly that they are going to start to pick things up and learn the systems and become an integral piece of that team. And those players are just going to roll in and take the place of the players that are retiring. Steve Cash and Jen Lee are a perfect example of that. Jen Lee was the backup for years and years and years. Then Steve Cash made the decision to retire, and Jen Lee stepped in and took over the starting goaltender position, and they haven't missed a beat. That is the way to do it. What I've seen with Team Canada, and it's not meant as a shot to them, but we had the team from 2006 with the Greg Westlakes and the Brad Bowdens and the Ray Grassies and the
Billy
the
Bridges.
others. Billy Bridges, thank you, and the goalie. He was on the broadcast.
Paul
Rosen, thank you. My brain is not doing well today for some reason. But you had all of those guys, and they played, and they played, and they played, and they played, and they played. And then once they retired, you started to see new players come in, and you take a step back for a while when that happens, when you have so many younger players come up. Whereas if you can sprinkle a few of them into the lineup here and there, bring them up gradually, I think you sustain your success. And I think that's what the Americans have managed to do. I think maybe we just had a situation where we maybe had a lot of our older players retire all at the same time, and it left us having to take a step back. I remember back in the early days, I remember the precursor to the Para Hockey Cup taking place in London, Ontario one year, and I went to all of those games. And the Americans were not as strong at that time as they are now, but they were bringing in the Declan Farmers and the Brodie Royables and the guys who are now cornerstones of this team. And they've just blossomed and they've run with it. And as much as I hate the fact that they beat Canada every time, they deserve to. They're an amazing team and they're well constructed.
Yep. And I think too, like, para sports in general, and I don't come at me because I am gonna generalize this. In general, para sports does have difficulty with the next generation because you're dealing with, you got to find the talent. You got to find the willingness. You got to find the people. And to do all that, you also have to battle your disabilities. And so some people who are not necessarily born with their disability and they acquire it, it can be tough to walk into a room of recovery and say, your dreams of playing stand-up hockey are over, but we promise you there's sledge hockey or para ice hockey, depending on how you want to refer to it.
Slice the onion, yep.
It's harder to tell that person who felt that they were going to be a number one draft pick in the NHL, and it's then tough to say to them, well, you can do para ice hockey or name the para sport here. I don't care what it is. And so for me, that's sort of the tough piece. And I do not know what the Americans are doing in para ice hockey to make this work. But man, does Canada as a whole need to figure out what the sauce is or what they're saying or what they're doing, because it seems like time after time after time, the people that are coming in are just coming in so seamless that you're like, but there wasn't even a break where we could win at this, like, because they're so good. And we did see a couple of years ago, Josh, not to take this away from Canada, they did win the World Championships, and that does need to be noted. But I will also tell you, the U.S. has this ability, it seems, to ramp up, and then, bam, when we get to the Paralympic Games, just another gold medal. And that, to me, is sort of where we may have seen Canada at their best at the World Championships, and maybe the United States not at their best a couple of years ago, but they don't care. If they win the Para Hockey Cup and then they win the Paralympic Games, none of that matters. They'll say, oh yeah, that was a distant memory. We lost the World Championships, and that's it. For them, it's all about building up, and I think that's the credit that USA deserves in all this.
Absolutely. I agree with you.
Yeah. It's just, you gotta give credit where credit is due, unfortunately, and that's just where I see for it. And I don't want to take anything away from Team Canada in this. They did have a valiant effort. It just wasn't good enough, and Jet Li made some very, very good saves. Like Canada had some very, very good opportunities, and he made some good saves. Our goaltender made some very good saves. It wasn't all bad for Canada, but unfortunately the end result is what the end result is. Now, Josh, we're gonna get into playing a little bit of hypothetical here. Let's go with this first. Can you look at this and say it's a moral victory? Can we look at that right now and say it's a moral victory, or is it that no, we still got second place, and even though it was better, still not great?
I don't think there are moral victories in this, unfortunately. Did they play better? Yes. I think you and I both agreed that they were more sound defensively. They attacked more. But until you figure out how to solve Jen Lee and you figure out how to counterattack off of what the US is doing, you're just not going to change the result. And I do think that sometimes in the round robin, both teams play a little possum. They maybe don't show all of their cards because they know they're going to face each other in a gold medal game. And so whether Canada wins or the US wins in the round robin, I really don't care. It's a chance to see each other. It's a chance to figure out what are they doing versus what are we doing. And it's the gold medal game where it all counts. And unfortunately, for whatever reason, when the chips are down in that gold medal game, one missed opportunity, ultimately, if we want to be honest about it, is what cost them the game, because the second goal was an empty netter. And so I will not take away the fact that they had good things happen, but ultimately the result is the same, and that can't be overlooked.
And the thing is, and I agree with you, because it's like, yeah, can we have a moral victory on this? Okay, I guess if you have to, you can have a moral victory. But if you go to the historical evidence of this event, the last time they won this event was 2015, 10 years ago, on your own home ice. Like, this event does not move out of Canada. It is literally in Canada and has been since its inception, and they have not won in 10 years. If we go to the Paralympic Games and they get a second place, we're not having the conversation of, oh, well, they, it was a one goal game. It was this. We're having the conversation of, yet again, we're having a silver medal. And that's where I'm in here right now, because yet again, at the 10th event in a row, we are at the same result. Did it look as bad as it has in years past? No, but it's the same result. And unfortunately, Josh, to give you the last word, and then I'll move on to other things, but unfortunately, sports is a results business, and the result is a second place, plain and simple. That's it. That's all we can look at.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those things where the Para Hockey Cup is a chance to meet your rivals outside of a Paralympic Games and see what you have going for or against you. And unfortunately, this American team has just been absolutely dominant. I mean, the last time Canada won a gold medal at this event, according to some quick research, was 2013-2014, when they won the gold. Canada won the gold, US won the silver, and Russia won the bronze, with South Korea in fourth. And that was when it was held here in Toronto. I went and saw it back in 2010 when it was held in London, and Canada won that year as well. But since 2013, 2014, USA, and with the exception of 2014-15 when Russia was in second place, Canada's been second place ever since.
Yep. And I think too, I was putting out of my mind the pandemic when they wouldn't have had an event around that.
2020 and 2021, they did not hold an event.
That's
why
it
was supposed to be in Bridgewater.
That's why the math, it's 10 years, but it's 10
years spread over a period of time.
Yeah. And that's why I was immediately going back to 2015, trying to put out of my mind the pandemic, but it's still a thing. And unfortunately, they missed some events there.
There's only one good thing that came out of the pandemic, and that was meeting my wife. So
yes,
there you go.
Speaking of Josh and his wife, I'm going to take a total left-right turn here. Josh was on an episode of Sick Boy, which we recorded on the same day of recording this episode. And so that will be released in due time. I'm not going to put the date out there right now because then that would hold Jeremy and company to putting it exactly when I put it out there. But it will come out, and I got to co-host that episode. And so Josh did a wonderful job, and so tune in to that in due time, and I'll publicize it again on this program, we hope, when it comes back out again. But yes, good things came out of the pandemic, and that is the fact that Josh met his wife. So very cool. Let me ask you, and I'll do this from the perspective of the United States winning the event. The United States wins this event, 2025, 10 years. How much stock can you put into that event? It was a tune-up for the Paralympics in Milan. Can you put a lot of stock into this if you're in the United States and say, okay, we did it again? Can you do that? Or is it a dangerous sort of thing to run into, kind of feeling a little bit too confident going into the Paralympics?
I think that these events, as you say, being tune-up events, are an opportunity for you to see what you're looking like based on who you think you might take to an event like the 2026 Paralympics. So from that standpoint, I think it's good because you can see how well your team has meshed, how well the new players have integrated themselves, and you can see where you might have some possibly glaring holes. However, to say to yourselves, we won the Para Hockey Cup, therefore we're going to win a gold medal at the Olympics or Paralympics, I don't think you can necessarily say that, because every sport and the result of every sport is contingent upon what happens that day. If I'm not saying I'm wishing for this, but if a flu bug were to run through the American dressing room the day before the gold medal and everybody is not feeling 100%, then the result may change.
Yeah.
And so you can absolutely use these events as opportunities to see where you are, sort of a yardstick, if you will. But until you play the game on the day, you have no idea what you're going to be in for or what is going to happen.
Yeah, agreed. I think that the event serves a purpose. They won the event. They should be recognized for that. But to put yourself in March and say that this event is a guarantee that we're going to win the Paralympics, that's a dangerous thing to roll down. And I don't think that's the narrative for the United States. At least it better not be, because Canada can surprise people if they can put it all together. Yeah, I think that this event is exactly what it is. It's a tune-up event and should be taken for what it is. It's an event that is competitive, but as to put yourself months in advance ahead would be a really, really risky proposition to do. Let me give you Greg Westlake's scoring line. It goes like this: no goals, no assists, no points, and then 2 penalty minutes. I think a lot of people had some anticipation of Greg Westlake being on this team. I don't know exactly what concretely they could say, we're hoping for this or that, but I just think the name of Greg Westlake was something that people were hopeful for. And I think his presence did make a difference on the team. And I think that that's sort of one of the reasons you see what you saw and the fact that they were more competitive. But for me, I am kind of surprised that he didn't get anything other than 2 penalty minutes. And that's kind of, I don't know, like, do you make anything of this, or is this just Greg's been away for a while, tune up for him as much as anybody else, and that's it?
For me, I'm not entirely surprised that he didn't have the greatest stat line. I don't think we can read anything into that because I, for one, don't know what his role was expected to be. If he was expected to be more of a checking player, then you wouldn't expect him to be scoring goals. You might be expecting him to keep the Americans or whatever team they're facing off the score sheet. And maybe he did that very well. Maybe he was more of a defensive forward. And that's fine. That's not going to show up in the stats necessarily. I also think that the ultimate goal here was for Greg to play in another Paralympics. So I don't think the stat line at this particular tournament is one to be concerned about.
Very well put. And I have nothing else to add to that other than what you just said. I agree with what you said. The only thing is, I'll ask you though, would you have thought that he would have got a point in
100%?
Yeah, like that. I guess would surprise you
based on who they played. Based on who they played, I might not expect him to score against the Americans. But when you win 7-0 over Czechia, I would have expected him to get an easy one or an oops, it went off my shoulder into the net kind of a goal. But obviously that didn't happen. And maybe that's because his minutes were restricted and he wasn't on the ice as much. Maybe it was just that, again, maybe he was more of a checking forward and wasn't expected to score. And so he wasn't putting himself in those positions. But ultimately, I'm not overly concerned about it. I think the goal is for him to be integrated back into the team by the time they go to Milano Cortina. And if he has a 0 stat line there, then I would be concerned. And I would probably say, sorry, Greg, you had a chance and you didn't capitalize on it.
Yeah, agreed. Something that I had written down on this when I put this together a few days ago was Josh has a reaction to our Penny Alexiak conversation. But I do also have some information in case you missed it, depending on when you're listening to this. Devin Haru has done a sit down with Miss Alexiak, and that was put out on Tuesday, December the 9th on the National. So if you want to go back and look at the conversation or dissect the conversation or see how our thoughts compare, because it has not happened yet as we record this, it will. I've seen snippets, and I will put a few of my thoughts in regarding the snippets. But Josh, you did contact me after last week's episode, and you said For what it's worth, I have comments on Penny Alexiak, and it's worth something because I want to know, what do you think regarding Penny Alexiak and the 2-year suspension based on missing 3 whereabouts in a 12-month period?
Yeah, and you may have to remind me of what I said to you offline because I may not remember everything, but essentially my thought is one of a few things. Number one, maybe she is young and impetuous and maybe she was doing something with friends or with family and just said, no, I'm not making myself available for testing right now, and so she ignored the call. Maybe I think it's a very slim chance, but maybe she isn't sure if she took something and doesn't want to fail a test. But I think that is very remote. I think it's more likely that she has sort of surveyed the landscape and she was the big thing a few years ago, not that long ago. But then Summer McIntosh has burst onto the scene. And so maybe she's not the top dog anymore. And maybe she just says, why bother? Either way, I don't think it's appropriate that she's missed these testing opportunities. I think it clouds her with suspicion that she doesn't deserve. But ultimately, I wouldn't be surprised if she's just young and is tired of having to be at somebody's beck and call.
So you hit all the points that you told me offline. The one that I just would like you to put on the record for the recording is, do you feel that she took drugs? Like, is that... No, that's what you told me. You said.
No, I do not feel that she has taken anything. I think she is too smart for that. Because if I look back over the years and the different things that people have been caught with, we know not to take stanozolol after the Ben Johnson issues. We know to be careful about what cold medicine we take after the Silken Laumann situation many years ago. There's too many things out there to remind us not to take something if we are a Paralympic or Olympic level athlete. And I mean, honestly, I don't feel that she has a good excuse for missing these. As you pointed out on the episode last week, and maybe you want to continue to comment on it, this is drilled into you from the time you join a national team. This is a thing. You must abide by this. There is no getting out of this. Blah, 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 blah. So it's not as if she didn't know. It's not as if she looked at her phone and went, oh, who's that? I'm not going to pick that up. No, she knew exactly who was calling. And she chose not to take it, or she didn't have her phone with her and couldn't be reached. But I mean, I get it. If you're out with your family on a family vacation to, I don't know, Arizona, let's say, and the testing center calls you and says, hey, we're coming in an hour. Well, now your family is stuck there while you get your test done. Maybe she's just tired of it.
Maybe I'm doing this in a poor way, and I should have maybe labeled the little bits of note that I've seen from Devin's interview. And if I give you anything that changes your point of view, please weigh in. There's only 2 of us, so we have tons of time to do this. First of all, Devin asked her in the 30-second snippet that I saw, he said, did you or do you take drugs right now that you do not want people to know that you took? She said definitively no. Am I surprised that she said definitively no? No. I don't think she's going to go on record with Devin and say, oh yeah, I did, and that's it. So I think she's going to stick to that narrative. Number 2, she said very clearly that it was a misunderstanding. It was a scheduling issue. That's that. She says that as definitive. The third thing that I saw, which very much jarred Devin. I've never seen Devin's face so jarred when she said this, but he asked her basically, how are you training now? And she responded, quote, in public pools, in public swim lanes. She is not eligible to train in any of the national facilities. She becomes a quote unquote normal civilian. And Devin's face dropped to one that I was like, whoa, that shocked him. And he said so when he was on with Marianne Domain on CBC News Tuesday morning. And I just think people don't realize, and as long as this podcast exists, and as long as this podcast has anybody getting a hold of it, I'm going to tell you, as athletes, we know this. We understand this to be true. This is not some haphazard, oh, if you do this, you're going to get a 2-year suspension. Oh, if you take drugs and you're caught, you're going to get a 4-year ban. Oh, if you do this, we're going to run your name through the papers and the this and that. It's not hidden. I do not want people that listen to this podcast sitting around going, oh, poor Penny. Penny knows Penny made a mistake. And now Penny has to make do on the consequence that exists with this error. And that's where we are at. Do I think she regrets, Josh, what she did? Yes. But she also acknowledges, yeah, I made a mistake and now I got to pay for it. Go ahead.
I think the only thing that concerns me is that I forget how you phrased it, but that it was an administrative error, a clerical error or something. Like, again, you have this drilled into you from the time you join a national team. So you're telling me that somehow you didn't input properly where you were going to be or what phone number to reach you at? Like, I'm sorry, I don't believe that.
No.
I don't buy it.
No.
Do I know that it's easy to mistype a number? Sure. And maybe that's what happened. But just come out and say, like, hey, I entered a phone number and didn't notice that I switched the digits. Like, that would be understandable. But to hide behind, oh, it was an administrative error, that feels fishy.
Yeah.
That feels fishy.
And the other thing I'm going to say is, because what you'll see on the national with Devin is she's going to say, yeah, but I was tested all the way through. And like after he asked her, have you taken drugs? It went on after she said no. Then she said, well, I've been tested all the way through at events and this and that and blah, blah, blah. So if I was on drugs, then it would have been noted. Fair. And I give her that. But the rule is, and it's very simple. If you fail 3 whereabouts, doesn't matter whether you've been tested 12 times at the 30 events that you've been at. The fact is, if you failed 3 whereabouts over a 12-month period, that's once every 4 months. My math is not great, but I'm pretty sure that's once every 4 months. Like, this is a thing. So you can't hold on to, well, I've been tested and I was clean, because the reason the whereabouts exists is because they're trying to catch you in a moment where you might have taken something unknowingly, unwillingly, whatever. You cannot hang your hat on, well, I was clean all the way through. We don't know that. We have no idea of that, Josh.
And the other thing I don't think I've mentioned, which is a possibility here, is correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Penny was the one who stepped away for a bit after one of the Olympics because of some mental health concerns.
Yeah.
And so maybe failing 3 whereabouts is a way of going, pressure's too much, I can't deal with this anymore. And so a 2-year ban means, oh, well, I don't have to worry about this for 2 years now.
And are you going to go on a public record with the guy that's like swimming and curling Canada and Mr. Olympics, and you're going to go and say, yeah, this is what I did? No, you're not. You're going to go and say it was a clerical error. It was a this, that. You're going to say, I want to be the athlete I am. I'm going to email Devin Haru after we finish this recording in 7-ish minutes. And I say ish because I want to get Josh's take on one other thing. But I'm going to email Devin and I'm going to be like, we need you on at the beginning of the new year because I want to watch this. Full stop. We're recording on Tuesday. I want to watch this and be like, what do I make of this? Because the 2 minutes that I watched, I'm like, I'm sorry, don't buy it. Don't buy it. Do I feel that she took drugs? No, I don't. And I just don't, and I'm not going to buy it, but I'm not going to be sold on it was a mistake, because you know what, Josh, because I've heard this narrative too. Well, what if she went somewhere and she forgot to put it in her whereabouts and they tried to get a hold of her? She walks with her phone. You are not supposed to leave the city without your phone, let alone the country, let alone the province, so if it's a simple, you didn't actually know where I was, it's not like they go, oh, she's in Punta Cana, so let's go there and get a test somewhere and do that. She can call them. She can put in her little thing that says, I've actually moved locations. I'm here, there, and everywhere. The point of the whereabouts is not to catch you where you are. It's to catch you in a moment of like, oh, where am I? And so people that say, oh, maybe she didn't put something on her schedule. It doesn't matter, because all they look at is Penny Alexiak's number is 519-123-456. And we go on about that. They don't care about what your whereabouts says. They just care about the fact that you did or didn't answer the phone. And she didn't do it 3 times, Josh. Period. Like, that's it.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I really wonder if this is more of I'm stressed out, I can't deal with this right now. And I feel for her if that's the case, but there's a better way to go about it than this. This just maybe felt like an easy way out.
Yeah. I mean, like, look, you got, like, the people listening to me have no idea how badly I would like Devin on this program. Like, because Devin will do that thing where he'll turn. Remember when we had him on in Boccia and I asked him about them, Iulian and Allison missing by the inch, and he turned to me and he said, well, what do you think? I guarantee you that Devin, if he was in the third little box as we sit here record, I guarantee you he looks at me and says, well, what do you think? And I'm going to tell him, this is what I think. If she wanted to be out, then just go in front of a podium, let Swimming Canada do this fancy, whatever they're going to do, let the executive director come out and say, yeah, Penny's got something to say. But don't make it about, oh, it was a clerical error, because I'm not going to buy it. And I'll be damned if the public buys it who listens to this. I've had people come to me over the course of the last week and be like, we love the fact that you did this on the podcast, because we as layman's people to sports don't understand this. And so then the narrative of, oh, well, it was a clerical error, it was a mistake, it was this. Well, then people stop and go, well, maybe it was. And then our podcast is going, hold on. Because I actually have lived experience of that, and it's bogus. Plain and simple.
And you've even said to us that even when you retired, you were still required to be available for up to, I think it was 12 months after your retirement date, because you still are allowed to be tested within that year post-retirement.
Now, if if she took drugs and she knows she took drugs, and again, I'm not saying this, but if she did, this is the smartest and most genius thing you could do. And yet you're going to still go on and say, yeah, it was a clerical error. I made a mistake. I'm going to swallow my pride, and I'm going to this, that, and this, because I'm going to go away and I'm going to train in public pools, because the penalty for taking a forbidden substance is 4 years. The penalty for this is 2. If she gets caught taking a drug now, she is out of the 2028 Olympic Games, and that's
Yes.
it. She is not out of LA 2028 as we sit here. She will have a year to train and do this and do that. So if 1, she took a drug, then this is a brilliant move. If 2, she wanted a break, different way you can do it, but whatever, we swallow it, we move on. I might still have a 3rd episode talking about this, depending on what I find out tonight on the National, because I might still have something to say about it. So stay tuned for that next week. But that's where I'll leave it. I'll let you. Is there anything that you feel you miss here with the Penny Oleksiak situation?
No, I don't think so. I wanted to just bring forward my thoughts that maybe this is mental health related, and if so, I feel for her, but don't hide from it either. There's lots of talk about mental health these days, and there's no shame in having mental health concerns, especially when you're put into that much pressure. And now she's going to have her own teammate Summer to go up against, and that's more pressure again. So if she's stressed out and this is how it manifested, I feel for her, and I hope she gets some help.
Yeah, with the understanding of mental health, better way to do it, which is why I lean towards the latter of maybe there is a substance that she's unsure of and picked up the ingredients and went, I didn't know that was in there, so let's do this. But again, I digress because we're at the end of the show. But I do want to get Josh's take on something, because this is just so odd to me. So Milan, Italy is coming up in February. And NHL players are going to the games. And a little story came out that said that the
a little oopsie?
yeah, a little oopsie, that said that the rink is 2 feet shorter than an NHL rink. And I went, Mer? And then I did it again a couple of days later, and I went, okay, now this is real fun, because the International Olympic Committee put out a quote saying, yes, we acknowledge that it's 2 feet short, but don't worry, it's not going to have an effect on the play. It's basically they're just saying it's 2 feet, and don't worry about it. Josh, what do you say on this? Like, were you in the same boat as me, or do you have a different boat, or where do you lay on this?
To me, somebody misdrew the plans, and I think there should be consequences. I think you take out a row of seats and you make the ice surface a proper size. But I mean, it's not up to me. I heard today that the arena is not going to be finished until February 2nd, and that the women's hockey tournament begins on February 5th. Wow. Talk about nose to the grindstone and down to the wire. I hope there aren't any other mistakes, because they won't have time to fix them. I heard something about a test event that is supposed to take place. I don't know how you do that when the arena's not done. I think somebody goofed up, and I heard Bill Daly on Sportsnet today saying, yeah, well, we've made it quite clear to the IOC or the IIHF that for 2030 it has to be regulation. Yeah, sure it does, Bill. I'm pretty sure you told Milan Cortina that this rink had to be NHL regulation, and now you're having to backpedal because it's not.
And
so
sorry, I cut you off.
It makes me laugh that the IOC or the IIHF, one of the bodies, is saying, yeah, it's only so many meters by so many meters, but it won't affect the play at all. I'm like, there's 2 feet of ice less than there's supposed to be. Of course it's going to affect the play. An NHL rink is already smaller than a European rink.
Look at what happened at the Four Nations Cup. Everybody was complaining about the space on an NHL-sized rink because of the talent that was on the ice. Now you're going to go to an Olympics.
Yeah. Exactly. Now you're going to do an Olympics with a smaller ice surface than it's supposed to be. And it's just going to be a mess. Like, to me, the way you do it is you build them for a European ice rink, because then everybody's on an equal playing field. The Canadians don't play with that size of rinks, so they've got to get used to it. The Europeans maybe have some advantage because that's their size of rink, but I don't know why you're having it on ice surfaces that are are on NHL sized rinks. I really don't. It doesn't make sense to me. I want to see the skill. I want to see them flying down the wing and taking their shots. And to me, a larger ice surface is more exciting. But this is the way they've gone, and now they've got a problem because somebody misread the plans.
And you know what, NHL? If you've got a problem with it, because I agree with you, Josh, I think Milan was one of those, if we're coming, there's got to be this. If you've got a problem with an NHL, and you want it to be an NHL-sized rink, then don't go. Because you know what? Mm-hmm. The fact that you're going, the IOC looks at you and goes, yeah, okay, fine. We'll tell you that we'll put it this way, but we know you'll come. Grow the pair and stand up to what you believe in, what you want. And if you don't want to go because it doesn't meet your specifications, then don't go. The problem is you're going to deal with the public who's going to say, I want the NHL at this and that. So you cannot have your cake and eat it too, but don't you dare go on record and insult the public and act like this one wasn't all guaranteed. Oh, in Milan, we have to have an NHL-sized rink. No, actually in 2030, we have. No. You said it for Milan, so stand up to what you believe in. Otherwise, shut up and move on. Period.
Yeah. There's also the fact that, I just had a thought and it left me. It's okay. Move on.
That's all good. Happens when you're doing this.
It'll come to me after we stop the recording.
Yeah, it happens when we're basically doing this live to tape, and thoughts just leave sometimes.
Poof.
And
poof, gone.
That's it. We will have one more recording. We're going to have the Karen O'Neill, who's the CEO, Chief Officer of the Canadian Paralympic Committee, next week on the program to close out the year that was the neutral zone. I'm also throwing out to Josh right now, live as we do this, that instead of headlines next week, I'm going to tell my panel to come up with, in their mind, the biggest 2025 sports story and tell me why it was that way. So we're going to kind of have a year end review sort of next week, and it'll be fun, and we'll have 2 or 3 stories depending on how many panelists join me next week. Things happen around the holidays. People got to work, and that's all there is to it. But we'll see you next week. Until then, be safe, be well.